Hello, in this video I'm going to talk about a new feature which is request variables. This feature allows you to set up your own tags and you can use them in naming conventions, approval processes and lease periods. To set these up you can find it under Admin, Templates and Request Variables. So today I'm going to talk through some that I already have set up here. Let's look at a simple one first. New encoded title that I've set up. I'll set this up because I want to change the underscores that are used in encoded titles to hyphens. So let's look at the form that I filled out. The identifier needs to be unique because we're going to reference this elsewhere. And in this example, the output type I've chosen is string. And if you open up the tooltip help information, you can see we have more information on each output type. And in string, I've got the replace variable here. So then I can use that in my formula afterwards. So in the formula field, I'm going to put the variable I want to reference, which is encoded title, a full stop, then the word replace, and then in brackets, I'm going to put in speech marks what I want to replace, which is an underscore, a comma, and then what I want to replace it with. So at the moment, I've got that as no blank space, but in this example, I want to replace it with a hyphen instead. And then we save that, and that's your request variable set up. This isn't associated to any service definitions yet, but I will show you how to do that later on. Let's now take a look at project expiry. So I've set my unique identifier, and the output type I'm using date and time. If you look at the help information, that tells us that output type allows us to add certain values to the date or time that's set. So in the formula field, I'm using a column that I've set up for my service definition, a full stop, and then add days, and the value I've chosen is 180. And in this example, I'm going to use it in the lease settings of a service definition that I will show later on. Finally, let's take a look at a request variable that we can use in the approval process. So I have one set up here called manager approval. And the output type that I've chosen for this one is personal group. If we look at the help tooltip, under personal group, I can have manager. So in this example, in the formula, I want the manager of the requester to approve something. So I put requester in the curly brackets, I put a full stop, and then I put dot manager. Let's save that. So once you've got your request variables set up, you need to actually put them into your processes and your service definitions. So let's start with the approval one first. So I'm going to templates, approval templates, and I've created a new one called manager approval. And here you click add a step, and then on that step you'll choose the actor type request variable, and in the drop down you can then choose the relevant variable there. And you click save. And now I want to make sure this approval template is in my service definition. So let's go to service definition, basic team, it's an example I've set up. And I'm going to go down to approval. And then I'm going to make sure I've got my manager approval template added there. To use the other request variables in the service definition, you need to add them to the request tab. So under request variable references, you click add reference, and then you choose the other variables that we set up. So we'd want to add new encoded title and project expiry here. I've already got those added. So let's put the new encoded title into practice in the title formula. So to use it in your formula, you just need to put the identifier in these curly brackets. You can also use it in the URL formula as well. The last step is to use the request variable for the lease period that we set up. So let's go up and we're going to go to lease in the left-hand menu. And then at the top, you want to enable the lease. You want to choose request variable as the expiry type, and then choose the project expiry that we set up earlier. You also need to set a default lease length to save these settings, because it will fall back on this default if the request variable fails. And that's it. I've showed you how to use 3 examples of request variables in your service definitions. Do take a look at this help information to see all the options that are available to you, and there are some examples in there as well. If you have any questions or need help setting these up, just raise a ticket at helpdesk.provisionpoint.com.